barriers and issues, and promoting more inclusive opportunities for female product leaders to thrive in their tech career. Our purpose is to empower female product leaders, those aspiring and those that are already in their product leadership journey, empower you with the resources, the confidence that you need to thrive in your leadership journey. And we have four principles, one of which is deep connections. We believe that empowerment is created through authentic and real, genuine connection. So we're not looking for a community where we have thousands of people who have clicked the join link, but we want a closely knit community where members can lean on each other, learn from each other, empower each other, and share their knowledge and ideas with each other. Next to it is trusted allies and advocates. We want to create a community, although we're focused on, female product leadership, female in tech empowerment, we also welcome trusted male allies to stand alongside us and, work alongside us and define what good looks like in our leadership journey, to advocate for us and to champion us in rooms where we don't have access to. Thirdly is community led. We want a community that is co-built by the members. It's not the case where the leadership wants to define what events we want to do. We want a community where the voice you're empowered to have a voice within the community, and the community can mature from within, from inside out. We get to, recently we've just launched our community-led event, of which we'll be having one tomorrow, a CV masterclass event tomorrow, where community members define what sort of events should we run, what sort of programs, what sort of advice, what sort of mentorship program we should run to help and build the community. So it's about helping and building ourselves from within, driving strength from within the community out. And then lastly, free now, free forever. All of our events, all of the support and materials that we will share with you would always be free. All of our events, both online, in person, we will not ask you to pay. We want to create a very inclusive environment where, cost is not a barrier for people to attend, or price is not a barrier for people to attend our events, to feed on our resources. And because of that, we registered as a community interest company, not for profit. With this, it gives us potential to, get grants and be able to power our events, the resources, partnerships, so that we can continue to provide these services and keep the community running without charging community members anything. These are the lovely faces behind the community. And if you're not already part of the community, that's a QR code right up there. You can scan and feel free to join us today. We'll be very happy to welcome you. For this year, we have four teams of events. We have the Evolve series, which we're wrapping up by the end of this month slash early May. And we have the Confidence series, which will span from May to June, where we're running series of events, posts, resources, and materials on how to show up with owning your own presence with confidence without pretense. We're going to have series of member only events and events that will be open to outside the community. So I welcome you again to scan that QR code to get updated with all of our events under each of these series. Following right up to the confidence series is the influencing series, where after you've gained the confidence that you need in your leadership journey, how do you now have that power of influencing to be able to lead uh, and have the impact that you want to see in your product, in the leadership. Lastly, will be the diversity and inclusion series that we'll use to wrap up the year. And this is the list of our upcoming events. In our next three events spanning across the Evolve series and Confidence series, we have the online CB Masterclass, where Jesse Rushton from Creation Recruitment is going to take us through on market insights for how the market is shifting. It's ideal for if you're job seeking, if you're currently unemployed, or if you're looking to switch roles or move within the industry. We welcome you to join us tomorrow, and that's a QR code there to scan. You get access to all of our events and you can register. Following up to it, May 7th, we have in-person panel session where we're going to be talking about normalizing menopause and perimenopause. We're going to have conversation with HR leaders, health tech pioneers. This event will provide you insights, tools, and strategies to support women in menopause, from the innovative health products to impactful workplace policies. Next to it is Coach Yourself Confident, and this is a member-only event. If you've been on our LinkedIn, you wouldn't see this event there because we have some events that are packed for member only and we don't share publicly. So to be able to join this event, you have to be a part of our community. Again, scan the QR code to join us, scan the QR code to register for our events. And on that note, I would now welcome, yeah, all of our events are free. Absolutely. Thank you, Bex. On this note, I'll now welcome Dr. Sharp. Dr. Sharp is going to be taking us through Keynote on transformational leadership. Uh, just a bit of background to Dr. Sharp. She has worked in financial sector SME as a product lead and is currently working on a platform and bringing new products to market. She has authored a book, Make Products That Matter. This is a guide to understanding user and customer needs. She is a trainer, AI and automation use cases, innovation leadership, and customer discovery, product validation. She's a consultant and a coach and a mom of 2 children, 10 and 12. So welcome, Dr. Sharp.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much for inviting me. All right. Thanks very much. Yeah, it's great to be here. It's a very warm evening, so I appreciate your time in giving up, a little bit of summer sun to join. So let's have a look if I can. Yeah, here it is. I'm a little bit new to Butter, so bear with me. Okay, so what I wanted to do is just do a quick poll, which is who has heard of transformational leadership? So yeah, put your thumb up if you have, and put your thumb down if you haven't. Just interested to gauge where we're at. Any more? I think half of you have voted. See if we can get a full house. 3 more. So it looks like it's about 50-50. Look, it's skewed a little bit there. So just one person more has out of everybody. So 7 have and 6 haven't. Okay, awesome. In the chat, what I want you to do is in there, just use that as a space to tell me how you would describe transformational leadership in 1 to 2 words. Just very, very quickly. I don't want to skew you in terms of telling you what it is. Yeah, it's just interesting. Yeah, driving change. Okay, yeah, because it's transformation. So, yeah, it brings a feeling of change. Yeah, guiding teams through change. Yeah. Yeah, interesting in terms of inspirational, motivational aspects, because those are a couple of the pillars that we're going to go through today. Yeah, bringing new perspectives to leadership. Yeah, I think it's a really fresh perspective that's on leadership. And it also kind of crosses over with some of the things that Catherine outlined at the beginning, which was around what female product leads is all about. Yeah, influencing change, inspiring, excellent. Yes, cross-functional. Yeah, that is also a very interesting one, Meg, because we want to kind of break down silos and not just kind of work within our teams. Cross-functional working is definitely part of it. Thank you. Okay, so can you put the slides back up again? Just got to figure out how to do that. Yeah, there it is. Cool. Right. So in terms of transformational leadership, just from like a research perspective, there is evidence to show that it's proven to positively and directly affect process and product innovation, which are 2 types of innovation, growth and also productivity in SMEs. So by kind of a recent study and a bit of a later study. And just kind of very simplistically, I wanted to kind of break down the 4 pillars into a matrix here. So it's quite an old theory because it was developed in 1996, but I think the application of it is still relevant today. So in the first quarter, we've got the idealized influence, which I'm going to be referring to as charisma. So this is about keeping your message really clear. Really about being a role model, leading by example. That is the main part of idealized influence, about being a great role model. So you're showing the behaviors that you want to sort of continue either with in your culture or your team. And then we've got inspirational motivation. So this is the vision. So this is like the product vision, the purpose, your mission, what you're trying to achieve. Staying optimistic, even when people might be, naysayers, and it's just getting really difficult. Then we've got intellectual stimulation, which is creativity. So this is about sparking critical thinking. So people don't always say yes, they can disagree, and they can, come at it from different perspectives. You're encouraging diversity in thinking and in opinions, involving people in decisions. So people are co-creators. It's great for buy-in, particularly if you want to involve. Well, in the past, I've involved like senior leadership teams in product research. That was really interesting. So it's about it kind of crosses over as well with innovation. So encouraging smart risks, being curious, just being really, really creative. And that can even be around the creativity of your pathway as to how you get things done. And lastly, empathy. So this is individual consideration. So as a leader, it's really important to know what makes your people tick, how you can make them feel like they're turning up as their authentic selves, how you can coach them, mentor them, give them a space to grow and learn. And as a leader, be aware of I guess kind of be self-aware, which is part of emotional intelligence. So you might adapt your style, based on the people in your team. So I want to do a quick word cloud. So what I want to, which is another poll we've got coming up on the screen in a second. So think of, just going to end that one. So think of a leader who is a role model to you. I think it's another one. Think of a leader who's a role model to you. What is the one quality that you like about them? So we're thinking about this first part, this first pillar of like charisma and role model and things. So I'm interested to know what you like about them. Just one quality. Just give you a couple of minutes. Well, not minutes. I'll just give you like 10 more seconds to write in a word. Okay, right, so what have we got? Okay, so politically savvy, caring, knowing your limitations, inspirational, confident, respectful. Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, okay, so I suppose because there's quite a wide range of words, with all of the words kind of look quite equal. Okay, positive, that's really sticking out. It's interesting. Okay, brilliant. So in terms of the qualities that you like about leaders that you look up to, are that they're confident, quick thinking, savvy, inspirational, knowledgeable, level-headed. I guess they can also lead change. Consistent. I think that's really important in a leader. Okay, yeah, interesting. Thank you. So I'm just going to close up. Awesome. Okay, so what I wanted to focus on now is charisma. Oh, you got a question? Okay, what I'm going to do is answer the question at the end, unless Catherine, you think it's a good one to answer now. Okay, so in terms of charisma, when we think about that from a product leadership perspective, it's about being a role model and leading by example. So it's demonstrating the behavior that you want you and your team to continue and to mimic. So from a product leadership perspective, like what does that actually look like? It's about being a very clear communicator. Showing progress is really important, and showing progress over perfection. Also being honest about things that you don't know, so you're being transparent, building trust, and also telling compelling stories that bring ideas to life. So it's showing that, as a leader, a role model, and a someone who's charismatic, you're able to articulate your later on we'll look at vision, but really articulate what you want people to help you with and do and feel in a really clear way. So in terms of how it applies to you as a product leader, it's about sharing your vision with confidence, being a role model yourself to show what courageous leadership looks like, and you also showing up as your authentic self. So I want to just talk a little bit about my challenges that I faced in this kind of pillar. So I kind of mentioned, being a role model and enthusiastic and leading by example and things. But I found that it was sometimes it was really difficult to get people to buy into something that was completely new to them. So when I was a product manager at the financial services organization, I was the first person in the organization of about 50, 60 people that had any background in design thinking, UX, product, that kind of thing. So yeah, I will be sharing as I go through. So I just found it. I found it challenging to kind of get that buy-in, particularly when a concept was completely new to a lot of the team. So in terms of sharing a product vision, they didn't understand what it was, or what product management was, or what strategy was, or anything like that. So that was really difficult. And also I found that when I had ideas for a new product or service within the organization, sometimes it was shut down and I got lots of no's and things like that. I mean, in the end, I kind of used the creativity aspect of transformational leadership to carve my own path, and I didn't take no for an answer, and it ended up being a really successful product in the end. So I just want to get the slides up quickly. So just to recap, so product leadership is about showing progress, not perfection, having simple visuals, being honest, building trust and transparency, telling compelling stories, inspiring other people to follow, being leading by example. So it's more this is more the behavioral side of things, and like how you would do it. Be authentic, not perfect. So as a leader, you don't need to be polished. It's just be your true self, and then you'll encourage other people to do that as well. And also share the journey. It doesn't always have to be polished and finished and really clear. Okay, so I'm just going to take that off again. Right, so I've got another poll, which is around motivation and vision. So I want to just get that. You're able to do that, Catherine? Sorry. Oh. Okay, cool. So as a product leader, which of these do you find most challenging right now? Is it influencing, sorry, that one was a bit earlier. It's about the motivation one. So what motivates you? I think it's another one. I don't know if I can close this one. All right, okay, here we go. Yeah, so what motivates you? Is it being recognized for the work that you do? Is it your work-life balance? So you kind of like to have the flexibility of doing what you want outside work? Is it the pay? Is it kind of more what we call like extrinsic? So is it that you've got a good package, so then you can buy a nice house and all that kind of stuff? Is it more the people side, so being part of a team? Is it opportunities for learning, or is it having a shared mission across the organization? So you bought into the vision and you understand what it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, it is. You are right there. You're not just going to be motivated by one thing. But do you have one which really stands out to you? I know it's difficult to choose, Meg. Yeah, just choose one. one that kind of resonates with you the most. Okay. All right, close that one. Okay. Oh, okay. I think it's in the chat. So opportunities for learning. Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, and then the second one was being recognized. So recognition, then work-life balance, and then the shared mission. Yeah. So in terms of this next point, this kind of shared mission relates to the second pillar, which is around vision and getting people to share your mission and vision. But it is important to know what makes people tick, because that kind of crosses over the last one, which is around individual consideration. Because as you can see here, people are motivated by different things. And I do coaching as well, and I always find it really interesting. When I coached a sales director, and he thought he knew his team, really well, in that they just wanted to have good pay and things like that. But it ended up that they, like most of you, wanted opportunities to learn and to be in the workshop and really get to know the products and things like that. So it helps with empowerment as well, because you know what people want. So yes, that's the bit that I also really like about transformational leadership. Like, you really know your people, and you can tailor your, their things that motivate them to them. Okay, so with the next one, product leadership and vision. So how these cross over. So the first one is about leading by example. So it's a bit more behavioral. And this one is more around how you're going to get your message across. So being inspirational, showing your vision, being optimistic and inclusive. So I'm just gonna close that poll. Sorry. I'm not sure what happened to the slides there. So in terms of having a vision as a product leader, it's important to show that you're really bold, you're really behind it, you're all in, and also you're able to rally other people, other stakeholders and leaders, to show that everybody should believe in this mission as well. So it's about being really persuasive, and also like empowering other people to be able to action as well. So that kind of people first culture, so understanding what motivates people, and encouraging people to take risks and things like that, which we're going to talk about a little bit more next, is important. So all these kind of pillars go hand in hand, but some aspects are a bit more sort of, I guess, pronounced than others. So in terms of how to apply this vision aspect in product leadership, it's about demonstrating the impact. So I did some coaching recently with an upcoming UX research leader, and she spent a long time on doing research, but with her presentations, it was a lot around like what she did and what the findings were. But for transformational leadership, if you're going to apply this and you wanted to make your message stronger, then it would be in your reports or in your presentations, you would explain like, so what, like how does it apply, and maybe kind of tailor your message to your audience as well. So yeah, really showing that it's not just the what, so delivery, but also what difference is it going to make, the impact, so why you should be doing it, and also celebrating small wins as well. So this kind of reinforces what we're going to have in the last bit, which is kind of making people feel inclusive and like they belong in things. But in terms of like following the vision and being part of the mission and like they're actually genuinely part of it, then celebrating small wins across the way, it is important as well. The way that I've seen it done really well is we used to have like a kudos board. I think it was part of Charlie HR or something like that. But we were able to give shout outs to our colleagues as to what they'd done really well and things like that. I thought that was a really nice idea. So in terms of the challenges that I faced in this vision aspect, it was kind of getting my peers, but also leaders involved in research and product management and strategy, and understanding what it was in a way where it was inclusive but not prescriptive. There was other people on the team who had been in development for a long time, but they had more of but they hadn't been in development, as in like they entered the organization about sort of 10, 12 years before, but development as a field had changed a lot, but their outlook hadn't. So with design thinking, it was almost at odds with waterfall and that kind of methodology. So that was difficult. So trying to get buy-in was just, and show the vision. I'd spent a lot of time, and I had spoken to other leaders around what the product vision was going to look like, but actually getting people to buy into it was challenging. We got there in the end, though, and a lot of it was about education and things. Okay, so for the next pillar, which is about creativity and innovation, can you? Sorry, I'm not sure. Hi, Maria. Can you tell me in the chat what stops innovation in your teams? So what prohibits people from being innovative? I'm assuming that sometimes that happens. Yeah, fear. Yeah, fear of failure. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Yeah, no time, lack of teamwork. Yeah, unsupportive leadership. Yeah, because I suppose, yeah, that is opening a bit of a can of worms, that one, I suppose. Yeah, delivery demands. Sometimes you just don't have enough time to be innovative. Yeah, low morale. Yeah, tech debt as well. Yeah. Yeah. So what I found has stopped innovation in teams that I've worked in as well, it's been almost like lack of permission that people can actually try new things. Yeah, control. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so they almost needed to see an example of something working before they felt like they could do it. So I set up a new product and service in an organization at the beginning of last year, and they tended to move really slowly, and there's a lot of bureaucracy there as well. So I think once they'd seen that I was able to turn things around really quickly, it made them think, actually, we can do it. We don't need to ask, we don't need to plan it for weeks and then, do it. We can actually just get on and give it a try, even if it's a bit scrappy, just to get some feedback to see if it works. Okay, so in terms of creativity, did they not get jealous of me? I don't know. I think that they just didn't. In terms of the culture there, it was very much you just had to ask for permission, and there was a lot of forms to fill out, and even for like quite a small team, it was quite surprising. It almost operated like an enterprise. So I think they were just, it was just a completely different mindset and things. Okay, so in terms of the third pillar, which is about innovation and creativity, this is about encouraging people to learn and grow, and creating a culture where people feel really inclusive and really welcome. They can turn up as their authentic selves. They feel a real sense of belonging, and that is difficult to do. But I think if you're able to, going back to the first one, which is lead by example, then I think that's really powerful, because it shows that, you're not judging people. You're kind of allowing people to be themselves, to have a safe space to demonstrate their views and things. In terms of innovation, it also allows people to just going to skip ahead. Dream big and just really take risks. So just be really bold and and experiment. So yesterday I watched Stephen Bartlett, who was giving like an overview as to all the different departments he has in his new building that is setting up at the moment. And it's got a whole team which is just there for experimentation. And they've got an award for the person who fails the most because they've experimented and they've tried out lots of things. So I think that approach is really good because I think it embraces failure, and it shows that there's always lessons learned. There's always, good things that can come out of, experimenting and trying things. So in terms of how to apply it to product leadership, so I guess it's kind of encouraging diversity and lots of different opinions. So not just customers or your peers, but also maybe like suppliers or just trying to think who else. I don't know, maybe experts. There might be a range of different stakeholders that might not be completely obvious, but I think getting a diverse range of opinions could be really interesting if you're developing something, particularly something new. And yeah, just kind of reward people taking risks, just like Stephen Bartlett did in that situation. And also kind of, you might want to use design thinking or service design techniques to spark creativity. So ask questions like, how might we do X or whatever, and then facilitate workshops. So there's just so many different ways of facilitating creativity. So just really briefly, in terms of how I like the challenge that I came across here, what I wanted to do in that financial services organization, I wanted to almost have like a Deliveroo update process or system, but for writing grants. So we use Notion, but some people weren't really that, they didn't want to use it. Other people loved it. So I think when you're experimenting, it's even though you might change your own way of working, you might also influence how other people are working. And some people like it, other people don't really like it. So I definitely learned that from that experience. And also when I'm in an organization and I want to try something new, sometimes it's not a pathway or a process for doing something in particular. So then I kind of create my own. And sometimes there's a lot of negativity and initially, but it's just, I just keep trying, maybe try different ways. Like, can I phrase it differently? Like, what do they need to know? Do they need to know ROI or have a business case or something like that? So I try and take away the blockers kind of in front of me and just think, how can we move something forward? I don't know if you want to put the slides up quickly. Then I can just show you that really quick.
Let's put up the slide.
Yeah, is that okay? All right, cool. Yeah, so just to summarize, it's about really cultivating innovation and creativity. So yeah, dreaming big, and like what we said at the beginning, working across teams, breaking the boundaries. In terms of applying it to product leadership, it's inviting lots of diverse opinions. So it's kind of against the idea, I suppose, of brainstorming in one room with one team, but just getting lots of different ideas, lots of different input on something. Rewarding that behavior, also as a leader, demonstrating that behavior, maybe also showing something that didn't work out if you tried something, just to show that it's okay to try something even if it doesn't really work. And then lastly, this is the final pillar, which is about the people. So people need to feel that they're in an environment that they feel safe in and included and belonging. And that's the part that I like about transformational leadership, because it really emphasizes that aspect. So as a leader, it's important to know your team, like what they're doing, their roles, how everybody I guess kind of fits together in terms of roles and responsibilities to kind of avoid conflict. You know what motivates them, and also what I like is that it uses a coaching approach to leadership. So in terms of applying it, you could use coaching style questions. So then people have to figure out the solutions on their own. So if you have people that come to you with an issue, instead of telling them the answer, you can kind of ask something like, how I don't know, what have you tried? what could you try, whatever it is. And yeah, inclusion is just really important. So not only is it about diverse opinions and input, but just making sure that everybody's heard. And you might also use creativity or creative methods, which work really well for different types of people, because people learn, people communicate in different ways, and charge their energy or deplete energy in different ways. So it's just kind of being considerate, I suppose, which I find interesting. So in terms of the challenges that I faced for this and applying this was, and I know there's a lot of writing here, but it was kind of, I like to do retros. So if we had I don't know, a particular trigger, which might be time or at the end of a process or something, I felt like it was really important to just get everybody together just to kind of reflect, but without pointing fingers. So then people felt safe to share like their frustrations, what they thought we could do better. So that kind of feeds into creativity, because we were able to come up with ideas and suggestions so something didn't happen again. So that's kind of one way where I've applied that, and that was good. Also, even being like an advocate for innovation. So in organizations, I've started to, I was the start of some of the innovation pathways, even small things like idea parking lot, or just trying to think what else, like a board, or creating a board or something, just to kind of assess ideas at different points in time. And if something sounded particularly good, then what the pathway was for that. This kind of feeds again into coaching, which is emotional intelligence. So there are different like questionnaires and things that you can do online if you wanted to understand yours in a bit more detail. But I think that self-awareness approach, where your own emotional intelligence and you can kind of adapt your style and coach as a leadership approach, is quite interesting. No worries, thanks Meg, see you later. Okay, so what I want you to do really quickly, just as we wrap up, maybe just in your head, you don't have to share, but maybe rate yourself 1 to 5, where 1 is the weakest and 5 is the strongest across each pillar. So just to recap, charisma is about leading by example, being a role model, showing enthusiasm. So it's being that charismatic influencer. Then we've got vision, which is about inspiring people, being inclusive, coming up with that vision, getting everyone to buy into it, and showing the direction of travel, essentially. And then creativity, so that links with like innovation, encouraging growth, learning, experimentation, having that growth mindset. So, we're going to learn no matter what, even if we fail. Empathy, so this is demonstrating like coaching approaches, mentorship, and empowering others to succeed. So you could just sort of do that in your head for now. But if you want to take it a step further, if you take a screenshot of this or a photo, but we are going to be showing these slides after, I believe, so you might not want to do that. But if you wanted to take a little bit of time to reflect on these different pillars, what you're strongest, what areas you want to develop, and maybe an action that you could take this or next week, there's a bit of space for you to do that. Okay, so in terms of the key takeaways, transformational leadership, it can really help you make such a big impact by using these different methods. And you don't necessarily need to have a title as a leader, but it's about implementing sort of change, which are some of the words that came up at the beginning. But it's about leading, maybe like your team or an initiative or something, where you're inspiring people, you're getting people to get involved, have ideas, and creating a space where people can like contribute in a safe space and really show up as themselves. Also, leading well by balancing all of these different aspects, and also your personal journey also kind of shapes the team's success, because you're not always going to get it right, but it's just showing up as your authentic self and showing that it's all about the journey, building trust, transparency, using really good storytelling skills. And there's a lot of information out there as to the different methods and things. Things don't have to be polished and finished to present it to other people. So just going to stop that. Yeah, so that was a run through of transformational leadership. So interested to have some questions now. I think we've got some. I think we might have some in the chat, in notes. Yes, we've got some here. Do you want me to go through them?
Yes, so now is the time for question and answers. Feel free to indicate with the mic, I have a question. And I guess we can start with the ones that are already on the shared notes. So we have from Meg, leadership inclusive but not prescriptive is a hard balance to strike. What helps to set the framing for that tightrope walk?
I think in the situation that I was talking about, I felt like I was kind of getting a negative reaction when I was talking about product strategy and a product vision. And when I dug into it a little bit deeper, it was because this particular individual didn't want to be told what to do. And it ended up just being a bit of a misunderstanding because I was trying to get his input on an idea. But it was just a very new way of working. So yeah, sometimes I guess it kind of speaks to that idealized influence. It's kind of taking people on the journey with you and demonstrating the behavior that you want to surround yourself with. So yeah, that's kind of how I dealt with that one.
Yeah, then the next question we have, sometimes they are disbelievers for operational experiments, e.g., that's nice, but don't think that will work in my team. How might one approach overcoming this?
So in terms of experiments, okay. I think someone should share the screen. In terms of experiments, sometimes people say no because they might not understand it or they haven't seen it. They just might have misconceptions about it, like it's just going to take a lot of time. You've got lots of other things we need to get on with. Like, they don't see the benefit of it, I suppose. But with experimentation, I was just trying to think with operation. Well, yeah, so what I did for that Notion example, that was an operational experiment. So I just kind of went ahead and just built a smaller version of it just to demonstrate what it was going to look like. So then people could have a bit more of an idea as to, what I actually meant by, sharing the progress with the end client. So I think sometimes just building like a really early prototype of something that can get buy-in, because you kind of get on the same page and you can get feedback, and you might think, I don't know, it might trigger a discussion in terms of return on investment and why it might be a benefit or something like that.
Absolutely. All right, then I move on to the next question. Have you ever had rituals and ritual culture backfire? I've had this in a couple of teams that it actually negatively impacted psychological safety. What would you recommend?
I think if it does backfire, because I suppose it's there is kind of an art to facilitating it, I think, in that it can really easily become a blame game within it. And I think if it starts going along that line, then maybe retros just aren't, maybe they're not a good fit, or it might be how it's facilitated. So I've got a background in UX research, so the way I facilitated it was very neutral. So it was just kind of, these things happened. What did we think went well in that situation, or didn't go well in that situation? So maybe if it was recorded, maybe to have a look at the transcript or the questions or something along that kind of line. Maybe it was the facilitation of it, maybe. So maybe a couple of, I don't know, could be either of those, maybe, or something else. I'm not really that sure. But it is a tricky area just to make people feel like it's a safe space, and to keep it a safe space is important.
Yeah, I think that's very important. Just also wanted to say that if you wanted to speak, you can just indicate by raising up your hand. But if not, I'm happy to read out your questions from the shared notes. So I'll just go right to the next question. Amy is asking, to what extent does the environment really affect whether transformational leadership is effective?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, because I've been in, I suppose, one environment which really allowed it to thrive, because there wasn't as much bureaucracy. And then I was in another situation where I did it, and it wasn't quite as successful, because there's so many boundaries, and the culture just wasn't a good fit for it, because people weren't proactive, they didn't take accountability. Yeah, it was, I don't know, they just seemed to forget a lot of things. They just didn't want to go out and find things out for themselves. They just didn't have that, I suppose, the mentality that comes with transformational leadership. So it doesn't work in every environment. I worked in a holacracy environment, and it worked really, really well there, because it encouraged you to be innovative and try new things. So transformational leadership worked well in that situation. But yeah, the wider environment does have an impact.
Yeah. I think Amy has raised up her hand, so I'll just
Hey.
Yeah, I just wanted to explain my next comment in the notes, because it sounds negative, but I suppose it is, like, I suppose it's just what you were saying there. It leads on from that. Like, I found, because I think my natural style is transformational leadership, and I found that I go into places and I try and transform things, and it puts a target on your back. And I've actually had people say things to me like, "Oh, you've got too much vision." And I've had people say, like, basically people essentially say, "Oh, you're too creative," or like you actually use these things as a negative. So I think the problem with this model is it implies like there's a linear, like the more you can do of each of the pillars, the better. But I think when you juxtapose that with an environment, actually there's a lot of situational stuff going on, because if, for example, you walk in and you're like a new leader or even an established leader and you've got too much charisma, I've also heard that topic as well, especially with regards to women, like there's a sexist undertone to it. Like if as a you basically, if you've got too much power, and that power is derived by basically how you talk to people and how you're nice to people and people just like you, then you can get that you've got too much charisma. And the same with empathy. And I think that's something that I've seen a lot of women struggle with in particular. It can go both ways. It completely depends on the other leaders, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think the wider structure and the wider culture, definitely would have an impact on whether it was a good fit. Because otherwise, it just feels like you're just what you said, in that it can be all seen as a negative, or other people they're just too much. It's just too much of a struggle to get everybody on board. And sometimes, like in the financial organisation that I worked with at the beginning of last year, like the CEO wanted this kind of approach, but it was almost like, because they've been around for sort of 10, 15 years, 20 years, and people had stayed that long, people just didn't want to change. They just wanted to turn up, do their job. They didn't want to do any experiments or anything like that. So yeah, I guess the industry, the type of product or environment does have a big impact, but it might just be that it's on a smaller level, and it might be that you take this approach for like your team or your initiative, and it just might be, you factor it into the way you work, rather than it being like an organizational sort of shift or application.
Yeah, it's just that I've seen it go like quite wrong, where people are like, "Oh, that person isn't a cultural fit," and it's like, and almost it can be like, it's almost like I've heard people say, "Oh, they're just showing off all their skills," or maybe they're too good for here. I've also heard people say stuff like that, like, "Oh, like it'll be better just to let them go, and then they can go and find an environment where they truly thrive." All of this kind of stuff. which I think is really sad when somebody, you know, goes into an environment and they can't find a home just because they want to do things differently and arguably better.
Yeah, it's a shame having comments like that's not very helpful. Yeah, thanks very much, Amy.
I have one question from Fiona on the chat. What are your tips for inspiring senior stakeholders who are quite driven by old ways of thinking?
I think a couple of things here. So, like showing them, so show don't tell. So with some of the different approaches that I brought in, I just kind of, I'm not saying go ahead and be irresponsible and do things that might get in trouble or anything like that, but just kind of starting small. So with that Notion page or that Notion example, I just started very, very small, and I just demonstrated like this is what I mean by an operational experiment. And then we can just try it out. We can pilot it. Let's just get like 3-5 clients on it, get feedback, see if it's worth it. So I think just by doing and showing, that is good, but also education as well. So by talking about, but also being the role model and leading by example. So when I've done product research, I've always tried to make it as inclusive as possible. So I've included like key stakeholders or leaders or whoever it might be. So I'm not just presenting a report at the end where it feels finished. I involve them in like the analysis, and then I've involved everybody in like the strategy and the vision, just in terms of that their input. So everybody wanted to have, but they felt like they had bought into it and was part of it and co-creating it. So I think by demonstrating and leading by example, some of these aspects can be really useful as well, because it can sort of slightly change the culture.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. Do we have any more questions? I've exhausted all the questions on the shared notes and on the chat. If you wanted to ask any more questions, 5, 4, going.
All right.
Really simple question. Do you think that all 4 quadrants are equal?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think they overlap. There's a lot of overlap with each of them. I don't think they're. I don't think it's easy to sort of silo them. The ones that I personally like the most, I would say, is probably the intellectual stimulation and individual consideration, because as a leader, you can take more of a coaching approach, and also kind of spur inclusive. Also kind of spur innovation and creativity. So I like those.
Yeah, I do too. But one of the hiccups that I've found is that it requires a certain level of like self-awareness on the part of the people that you're trying to work with.
Yeah.
And there are certain people that can get quite high up in organizations without having self-awareness. I think we've all seen it, and we all know particularly the functions of that. So yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah, it might be a training issue. There's the qualifications that I have are ILM, so Institute of Leadership and Management, and there's like level 3, which is entry, 5, which is like degree, and 7, which is masters. And I know not everybody is going to want to do those qualifications, but there's a lot of resources out there, even from providers like them, that want to get more people into coaching and taking a coaching approach. But yeah, I guess it's just the will to even want to do that in the first place. But if as a leader or product team leader, if you're using a coaching approach and your team is like nailing it and they're being really productive and they love working for you and there's like little turnover, they're going to be like, what's your secret? So I think it's by like showing that these things can work, especially when there's naysayers.
Right, brilliant. I hope that answers your question, Amy.
Yeah, I forgot what the original one was. Well, quadrant sequel, right? And then it does. I just think like in reality, like real organizations are pretty messy, and they are far from meritocracies, and the people who have the power are not the people that necessarily deserve the power or even take it seriously. So I mean, there are so many senior leaders out there that refuse to even educate themselves on new ways of doing things, let alone try things. So
Yeah.
it all depends on the business.
Yeah, definitely. But I think as a product leader, if you wanted to take this approach and you kind of gave a coaching approach a try and then it had positive results, I think that things like that would speak for themselves.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Sharp. We are so honored to have you today. Thank you so much for the insight and the nuggets you've given us. For the attendees, we'll be sending the slides over just post-event. And just before we go, we usually like to do a poll to, as I did say earlier, that we are a CIC and we need to be sending impact reports, going forward on how our event is impacting our members and our community. So please feel free to let us know what's one thing that you take away or do differently as a result of today's session. While we're answering that poll, just to remind us that we have a couple of events coming up in May. We have the CV Masterclass event tomorrow at 12 lunchtime. And then we have on the 7th, we have a panel session in person at Life Score Group Soho, where we're discussing normalizing menopause and perimenopause. And then following up to that, the very next week, we have an online keynote by Julie Smith, and we'll be talking about coaching yourself. She'll be taking us through an online keynote on coaching yourself confidence. That's the QR code, and feel free to, join the event and subscribe to our Luma event link so that whenever we have new events, you get notified. And we'll be sending you you expect to see a feedback email from Luma, where we want to know what we can do better, what worked for you in this event, and how we can improve it, the experiences for subsequent events. So we are pleading that you please respond to our Luma feedback collection and tell us how the events went, tell us what we can do better, and give us ideas on what we can improve for our events going forward. So thank you everyone for joining us. Yeah, so we have some of the posts coming out. Not doubt my leadership skills as much, awareness of transformative leadership pillars to develop, and 4 pillars of the transformational leadership. Think of ways how to grow each of them. Wonderful.
That's really good.
Yeah, brilliant. So thank you everybody, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you. Lovely to meet you all. Thanks for coming.